All right, friends, so we are in chapter 31 of Where the Mountain Meets the Moon. So let's read what happens next. Minli and the boy followed from a distance, past sharp rocks and jutting boulders. The girl finally stopped in another clearing. It was only when Minli and the boy pressed up behind one of the rocks that she realized it was once a stone carving, and the clearing was the ruin of an abandoned house, now mostly worn away by the wind. "Here," the girl said. "The beast dragged my brother into that cave." She pointed to a strange hole in the ground. Minli scarcely recognized it as a large abandoned well. The rocks around the opening were rough and cracked, and a ripped piece of red fabric lay torn on one of the sharp stones. Minli looked at the boy and saw his ripped pants. He smirked. "The beast, your son," the girl faltered, "is in there." He also said, the tiger growled at her to continue. He said that, and she and the girl swallowed in fear, that you would be too much of a coward to confront him. The tiger glowered ferociously, stalked to the edge of the well, and snarled into the blackness. "He's in there," the girl said. "Do you see him?" The deep well was full of shadows, but the dark water caught the reflection of the tiger's menacing eyes and sharp teeth. Full of wrath, the tiger growled at his own reflection, thinking it was a black beast. As the reflection growled back, the tiger gave a furious roar. The roar echoed back. "That's him," the girl said. "He's mocking you." Outraged, the tiger clawed the stone ground and snarled again, even louder and angrier. "How dare he," the girl said. "He insults you, your own son." The girl's words and his own echoing roars set the green tiger off into a frenzy. The air seemed to be charged with his uncontrollable fury. Every hair on the tiger seemed to jut like sharp spikes, and his teeth and eyes glittered like the cutting edge of a knife. He gave a deafening roar that bellowed, filling the sky with thunder. At its sound, the girl fell to the ground, and Minli and the boy covered their ears. The tiger bared his teeth and claws for an attack, and when the roar echoed back, it overwhelmed him with wild rage. Finally, the green tiger gave one last roar and leapt into the well. The girl, boy, and Minli stood frozen as the air filled with roars and the sound of splashing water. Then suddenly the wind carried one last howl into the sky. There was silence. Minli stared in disbelief. The green tiger was gone. Chapter 32. "We did it! We did it!" The boy and girl laughed as they ran to each other and hugged. They both were younger than Minli. She realized that they were twins. Their round faces, dancing eyes, and pink cheeks were exactly the same. The gray blanket that the boy had used to help hide himself was thrown on the ground, and with their dimpled faces swollen with smiles and their matching bright red clothing, they looked like two rolling berries. Minli couldn't help but smile. And as they laughed and congratulated each other, another voice called in the distance. "Afu? Dafu?" The voice cried, "Where are you?" The children looked at each other. "Agong," the girl said, and then together they called, "Here, we're over here." A tall, gray-haired man burst into the clearing. A bag was strapped onto his back, and in one hand he held a sword, and in the other a spear. As soon as he saw the children, both weapons clattered to the ground, and they ran into his arms. "Afu, Dafu," he cried. "We were so worried." "We did it, Agong," the boy said. "We did it. We destroyed the tiger just like we said we would." "You're not supposed to do that," the man said, holding them tightly. "We told you it was too dangerous." "That's why we sneaked away," the girl said. "We knew it would work. We used his anger against him just like you said we would. You said he was even angrier at his son, and his anger would blind him. And it did. I didn't say you should do anything, the man said, kneeling with his hands on both their shoulders. You were not supposed to go after the green tiger yourselves. You're not angry, right? The boy said. Now, no one will have to be scared anymore. We can let the animals out of the house and go outdoors again. Oh, Dafu, the grandfather said, hugging them even closer. Afu, as long as you are both safe, that is all that matters. Then the gray-haired man saw Min Li watching them. Ah, who is this? He said, beckoning Min Li closer. Before either child could say a word, Min Li rushed up with a hurried bow. Please, she said, my friend, the green tiger injured him and he's hurt and... The grandfather quickly pushed the children off him and stood up. Hurt by the green tiger, he said. Take me to your friend quickly. It is lucky I have brought the medicine bag with me. Dafu, get your blanket and give it to this girl. She is cold. The boy ran for his blanket, stopping to pick up the torn fabric from his pants, and brought it to her. Min Li wrapped the gray blanket around her. She was grateful for its warmth, but even more grateful that the man wanted to help immediately. How long ago was your friend injured? The man asked as he urged her to lead the way. After Min Li told him, he shook his head. We must hurry then, he said. The green tiger is no ordinary beast. His teeth and claws are poison. Without the medicine I have, he will die before seeing the sunset. Min Li swallowed hard and quickened her pace. The wind seemed to scream a warning, and even under the layer of Dafu's blanket, she felt cold. Would they be too late? Would they be able to save Dragon? All right, chapter 33. He's in here, Min Li called to Afu, Dafu, and their grandfather, pointing to the cave opening. Even before reaching the entrance, Agong was already holding the medicine bottle in his hand. As they rushed inside, Min Li was relieved to hear Dragon's rasping breath. He was still alive! But as the children and the grandfather saw him laying in the dim light, they stopped, shocked still. Your friend, the boy said in awe, is a dragon? The old man recovered from his surprise. It matters not, he said to them. Quickly, where is his wound? Min Li carefully unwound her blanket from Dragon's arm and winced. The gashes seemed to have burned into him like evil coals. The blackness had spread and his arms looked like a burnt tree. Swiftly the man pushed Min Li aside and began to pour the liquid from the medicine jar over Dragon's black arm. The tonic was a clear yellow-green with a gentle aroma of fresh flowers and grass, reminding Min Li of a spring morning. As it washed over Dragon's diseased arm, his tightly closed eyes relaxed and the grimace on his face smoothed. As if a deep pain was relieved, the medicine melted the dark poison. The blackness seemed to be rinsing away and Dragon's breathing became easier and even. Min Li sighed. She hadn't realized until then that she had been holding her breath. She knew, even before the man smiled, that Dragon was going to be okay. Da Afu, the man said, and Min Li realized that he was calling both his grandchildren with a single name. Go home and tell the family what has happened and where I am, or they will worry. I need to stay with the dragon. Tell Amma and all the women to make more medicine, and when it's ready, bring it to me. This dragon will need to drink it when he awakens. Thank you, Min Li said softly. The man turned and looked at her wind-burned face, tangled hair, and eyes shadowed with weariness. He is going to be fine, the grandfather said to her kindly, and then turned back to the children. Da Afu, bring this girl home and tell Amma to take care of her. She has not slept in a warm bed for a long time. I want to stay with Dragon, Min Li protested. I want to help him. I will stay with him, the old man said to her. Don't worry, he will be fine. You have already helped him." Minley opened her mouth to argue, but a yawn formed instead. She realized the man was right and nodded her head. The boy took one of Minley's hands, and the girl took the other, and they led her out of the cave. All right, friends, for your assignment for today's reading, I want you to think about the character traits of the green tiger. What kind of character traits, how would you describe the green tiger's personality? Think of a couple of words that would describe his character.